Angela here at Sew Bright Alpine Quilting, and welcome to our weekly update for the Boho Heart Quilt Sew Along. I forget what week it is, it's about week 10 I think. But what a difference a week makes. Last week I showed you that I'd laid out our blocks on the design wall here. So yesterday I started piecing the sections together, and if Steve pans around to the corner there, I'll join you. And here you can see the first quarter of the quilt all put together. All the beautiful low volume strips working well. And all of the blocks with the little intersecting strips all pieced together. And then next to that we've got the next quarter started to lay that out. So we'll be joining those together this week. And I hope to be able to show you some more of those. I think last week I mentioned that we were onto the little 2-inch blocks, but what I decided to do with those was to fussy cut some blocks out of the fabric. So you'll see this one down here, for example, on the quilt it was a circle in a square, so I've just used a fussy cut the fabric that has a circle on it to make that block. And then, oops, there's something on the board behind me on the other side there. So what I've decided to do is just cut out a whole bunch of 2.5-inch squares and cutting different sections of the fabric just to highlight the different beautiful calf facet fabrics that we have. I also created this little block out of the offcuts of the flying geese block. So that one turned out really cute and something just a little bit different. So these are the little 2-inch blocks that I'm going to insert along the way as I'm piecing the quilt together. Let's see if we've got anyone. Can you see if anyone's watching? No. Oh look, I've got the same top on as what I had last week. So as I said, I'm up to cutting up the 1.5-inch strips of the low volume fabrics. So I've got about 23. I've added some new ones. We had some new fabrics come in. So we've got this one. I'll just pop them down on the bench, Steve, and you can have a look down there. This one, these are from Devonstone. They're called low volumes from Devonstone. So we've got this one with lots of words on it. This one's called blah, blah, blah. As you can see, the word blah, blah, blah just in circles. We've got this heart one, which is really cute. And 2 little coloured ones. So this one with a little pentagon flower on it. And the last one is another coloured one, which has disappeared somewhere. Oh, maybe we forgot to cut one. There is another one that has some little shapes on it, just some tiny little coloured shapes. No, we obviously didn't cut a strip of that one. But I'll pop a picture of these on the Facebook page for you later so that you can add those to your collection if you like. So I think that brings the tally about to 23 or 24 different fabrics that we'll be using. So we're using them in, I think we need 68 altogether. So we're using 3 of each of those. So if you've got any questions about where we've been so far, just type it in the comments, say hello if you're watching. I can't see anything on the Facebook page there. It's not showing me any comments. Oh, hang on, have a look here. Glennis, what did Glennis have to say? Hello, Glennis. Oh, it's not showing me. Yes, there are some striking blocks, Glennis, and the strip's looking really good. I'm really pleased with how it's coming together. So as you can see, I've got a mixture of the cool colours and the warm colours here. So we're just sort of creating a bit of a funky little strip through the middle there of the warm colours through the cool colours, just spreading them out amongst the blocks. Just a couple of tips for when you're cutting your strips. Just make sure that because the strips are on the quilts, they're very split up. So as you come down the quilt, so I'll use this Eiffel Tower one as an example. So it's here, 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 and then down the bottom. So as you're going through piecing your sections together, you just need to make sure that you're keeping your strips in the correct order, so that as you join them in and amongst the blocks, that you get them in a continuous line, just to create that look of the original pattern. So what I've done is I've pinned them on my design wall in the order that they appear on the quilt, and that helps me to keep them organised and counting. So then you'll need to refer to the layout sheet in the back of the book. So the layout sheet, if you're starting to work there, so that shows you each of the quarters, and so it's about an 18 inches at a time that you're working on, so it shows you all the blocks that you need and the sections of how to piece them together. So that's really helpful. The other thing I can say is make sure you press your seams as you go. I've tried to keep pressing the strips of the seams with the strips all towards the outside of the quilt. That just is, something that I've learned along the way. If you press things towards the outside, just make sure that when you join the blocks to the seams of the strips, that if you can, press towards the darker side. So if you've got a dark fabric on your block, press the strip set to that darker side, so that you don't get any shadows underneath your low volumes. What else can I tell you? Measure. So don't forget that the measurements that are on the layout don't include the seam allowance. So if it says here that you need a 16-inch strip, you've got to cut it 16.5 inches, and so on. So the longest strip I think is 44 inches. So you'll need to join that one, those two strips on the outside here, because I don't think you'll get a strip of 44 inches without having to stitch in the selvages of the fabrics. Other than that, it's been pretty crazy to piece together. I've been doing the applique as I go along. I might have an applique session later in the week, and if I do, I'll share that with you. The little spools block, I'll just grab that, show you again. Sorry, Steve. The spools block is the one that we had the problem with last week, and I think they had a misprint in the pattern. So we've redone that one. So that one is now a 5-inch block. So that one worked together pretty nicely. Other than that, if you're going to piece the small 2-inch blocks, have some patience. Obviously, working with small pieces can be a little bit fiddly and a little bit finicky, but otherwise cut them slightly larger than you need and trim your block down. You can do that especially with the little 4 patches. So you can cut them slightly bigger. So you can cut them at 2 inches, and you could cut your little block out of those. As I said, I've got some fussy cut fabrics here that I'm going to use instead of all those little 2-inch blocks. But other than that, it's going together pretty well. I hope you are motoring along with yours as well. Don't forget to show us some photos, and keep watching, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching again. Bye-bye.